Martell Holt has always been one of those people who somehow finds a way to stay in the middle of drama. Every time you think things are going to calm down, he gives people another reason to talk about him. Now, it seems like Martell has found a new explanation for why his marriage and personal life went downhill. According to Martell, he believes that there may have been some kind of hoodoo or voodoo involved in the way things played out. Yes, you heard that right. Martell is now saying that he was possibly under some kind of spell, that someone did something to him that made it hard for him to move on or see things clearly. He mentioned that he ate someone's spaghetti, and after that, everything in his life seemed to fall apart. He said that was the reason why he couldn't shake that woman and why it ruined his marriage. Now, when people first heard that, there were mixed reactions. Some people laughed, some people rolled their eyes, and others said they actually believed him. But let's be real for a second. Martell has been known to come up with a lot of excuses for his actions. Every time something goes wrong, he tends to point the finger somewhere else instead of taking full responsibility. And this time, it looks like he's blaming the powers of voodoo. According to the story that's been going around, Martell said he truly believed that whatever he ate had something in it that caused him to lose control. He said he wasn't thinking straight, couldn't make good decisions, and that's how he ended up losing his marriage, his peace, and even his reputation. People online started joking about the situation, but at the same time, they also started talking about how serious it is when someone believes they've been spiritually manipulated. Some said Martell might not be joking, and that he could genuinely believe something like that happened. Others pointed out that this is just another way for him to avoid admitting that he made a lot of mistakes when it came to his marriage and relationships. Martell has often talked about how he regrets some of the choices he made, especially with Melody, but he has never fully accepted that those choices were his own fault. Every time he starts to take accountability, he ends up walking it back and blaming something or someone else. When Martell's comment about the voodoo spaghetti started spreading online, people immediately remembered all the past drama that happened between him and Melody Shari. Their marriage ended after years of problems, mostly caused by Martell's long-term affair. During that time, Martell was caught in a relationship that destroyed his family and made him one of the most talked-about men in reality TV. Now, years later, he's suggesting that maybe there was more to it. He said that he feels like something was done to him that caused him to act out of character. He even liked a post from a man who was talking about how some men lose everything because they were hoodooed by the coochie. The video basically said that when a man gets too wrapped up in a woman and starts losing focus, it's because she put something on him, some type of hoodoo, voodoo, or spiritual energy that keeps him trapped. And guess who liked the video? Martell. That one little like was enough to get everyone talking. People said that Martell clearly saw himself in that message because he hit the heart button so fast. In that post, the man talked about how men can lose their family, their home, their money, and even their mind when they fall under the wrong kind of influence. He said sometimes it's not just love or lust, it's spiritual manipulation. So when Martell liked that post, it made it seem like he was admitting that he too had fallen victim to the same thing. And let's be honest, it does sound like Martell is trying to find a deeper explanation for the mess he's made in his life. The thing is, Martell's situation has always been complicated. He was married to Melody for years, and together they built a life, a family, and a business. But when the cheating scandal broke, everything fell apart. Melody moved on, focused on her career, and became a strong example for women who refused to settle for less. Martell, on the other hand, seemed to struggle with the aftermath. Every time it looked like he was finally ready to take responsibility, he would post or say something that made people question if he had really learned his lesson. This time, instead of saying he made bad choices, he's saying that there was spiritual interference involved. Some fans found this hilarious because Martell has a reputation for avoiding accountability. They said he would rather say a pot of spaghetti ruined his marriage than admit that he was the one who couldn't stay faithful. But others said they actually understood what he was saying. In certain cultures, there's a long-held belief that food can be used as a way to influence someone emotionally or spiritually. The idea is that when you eat something made by someone with strong intentions, especially in certain conditions, it can connect you to them in ways you don't understand. It's not something everyone believes in, but it's a belief that's been around for generations. Martell didn't say exactly who cooked the spaghetti, but everyone already has a guess. People believe he was talking about the woman he had the affair with, because that's the only person he could be referring to. For years, Martell has hinted that the connection he had with her was something he couldn't shake off, even when he wanted to. He would say things like, "I tried to stop, but it was hard," or "it wasn't just physical." So now that he's talking about being under a spell, people think that's his way of saying that his connection with her wasn't normal. But when you look at the bigger picture, it's hard to believe that it was all spiritual. Martell had years to make better decisions, but he continued doing the same things. Even after the affair became public, even after Melody confronted him multiple times, and even after his image took a huge hit, he didn't stop right away. So now that he's saying he was possibly under some kind of spell, people are asking, was it really a spell, or was it just Martell being Martell? Martell has also made it clear that he doesn't think he's the only man who's gone through something like this. When he liked that post about men losing everything because of being hoodooed, it was as if he was saying, "That's me. I get it." The man in the video explained that when a man is under this type of spell, his whole life starts to fall apart. He starts losing money, relationships, opportunities, and peace of mind. It's like everything starts slipping away, and he doesn't realize it until it's too late. Martell's life after his marriage fits that description almost perfectly. Since the divorce, Martell's public image has taken a hit, his relationships have been unstable, and people often criticize him for not growing up emotionally. Many say that Martell seems stuck in the same cycle of blame and denial. Even though he sometimes talks about wanting to improve, his actions don't always match his words. So when he says things like, "I was under a spell," it feels like another way to explain why things didn't go right. At the same time, some people think Martell might actually be trying to say that he finally understands how deep his mistakes were. Maybe he's not literally saying that he was under a spell. Maybe he's saying that he was under an emotional or mental spell, the kind of trap that comes from being addicted to attention, lust, and validation. A lot of people can relate to that in one way or another. Sometimes people get so wrapped up in a relationship that isn't good for them that they can't see clearly. They start making bad choices, losing focus, and hurting the people they love. Maybe Martell is finally realizing that's what happened to him. But the problem is that Martell doesn't always express things in a clear way. So instead of saying, "I was emotionally trapped," he said, "I was hoodooed." And that's why people took it literally. Fans online started posting jokes about spaghetti, about love potions, and even about Martell finally admitting that he was weak for a woman. The memes started spreading fast. But underneath all the jokes, there's still a serious conversation about how Martell has handled the fallout from his own actions. Even though Martell has said many times that he regrets how things ended with Melody, he also continues to act in ways that make people question his sincerity. He's been seen arguing online, taking shots, and sometimes even throwing shade instead of moving on quietly. It seems like he still struggles with finding peace and accountability. Some people said that when Martell liked that post about men losing everything because of being hoodooed, he might have been trying to joke about himself, but at the same time, he might have been saying more than he realized. Maybe he was trying to tell people, "I know I messed up, but there was something else going on that made it hard for me to let go." The idea of being spiritually bound to someone is not new. Many people believe that when you share a deep connection, especially one that involves intimacy, it can create a strong tie that's hard to break. So even though Martell's comment about spaghetti sounds wild on the surface, some people believe that what he's really talking about is that he was spiritually tied to the wrong person. That's why he couldn't move on, even when he wanted to. But others are saying that this is just Martell's way of rewriting the story so that he doesn't have to face the full truth. They say that instead of talking about spells and food, he should talk about personal growth, therapy, and healing. Because no matter what someone believes about voodoo or hoodoo, there's still personal responsibility involved. You can't say you were under a spell when you made the same choice over and over again. People have also noticed that Martell tends to have a pattern of blaming everything except himself. When his relationship with Melody ended, he blamed the lack of communication. When his other relationships didn't work out, he said people misunderstood him. When business deals didn't go his way, he said people were out to get him. And now, when he's talking about his marriage and the affair, he's blaming spaghetti. It's become almost a running joke that Martell will always find a creative way to explain his mistakes. But some people say that maybe Martell is using humor to cope. Maybe he's tired of being judged and wants to lighten the situation. If that's the case, then maybe he's not really serious about the voodoo claim, maybe he's just saying it to make fun of the way people always blame women for everything. Because let's be honest, there's a long history of men blaming women for their downfall. From old stories to modern times, it's always been easy to say she put something on me instead of saying I made bad choices. Even though Martell is now in a different phase of his life, it's clear that he still struggles to let go of the past. The fact that he's still talking about what went wrong in his marriage shows that he's not fully healed yet. People say that if he really wanted to move forward, he would stop bringing up the past and focus on building a better future. But instead, he keeps feeding into the same cycle, posting things online, liking questionable videos, and making comments that stir up conversations. It's also interesting that Martell chose to like that particular post about men losing everything because of being hoodooed. That video was made by an older man who was speaking from experience. He said that when you let yourself be led by lust, when you let desire control you, it can destroy everything you've built. He wasn't just talking about voodoo, he was talking about self-control. He said that men need to be careful about who they connect with because not every connection is good for you. Some connections drain your energy, your focus, and your blessings. And when you lose those things, it feels like you're cursed. So maybe when Martell liked that video, he was agreeing with the message, not the literal part about voodoo, but the deeper part about how you can lose everything when you connect with the wrong person. If that's what he meant, then maybe he's actually starting to understand where he went wrong. But people don't always give him the benefit of the doubt because of his past behavior. Every time he tries to say something deep, people remember the old Martell who caused so much pain and chaos. Still, the conversation about Martell and the hoodoo claim has taken on a life of its own. Fans have turned it into memes, debates, and even discussions about spirituality and accountability. Some women said that it's interesting how men like Martell always blame women for their downfall but never think about how their own ego and choices play a role. They said it's easier for him to say he was under a spell than to admit that he couldn't control his own desires. On the other hand, some people said that even if Martell is exaggerating, there might be some truth to what he's saying about energy and influence. They believe that when you let the wrong person close to you, their energy can affect you. If that person doesn't have good intentions, it can drain your spirit. So maybe Martell isn't talking about magic, maybe he's talking about toxic attachment. Whatever the case may be, Martell has once again found a way to get people talking. Whether you believe in voodoo or not, the fact that he's even bringing it up shows that he's still reflecting on his past and trying to make sense of it. Maybe he's finally realizing that the choices he made had deeper consequences than he expected. Or maybe he's just trying to shift the blame once again. What's clear is that Martell's story continues to be a mix of drama, denial, and reflection. Even years after his divorce, he still finds himself caught between wanting to move on and wanting to explain what went wrong. And now, he's using spiritual language to describe what happened, saying that something beyond his control might have influenced his behavior. Whether people believe that or not, it adds another layer to the complicated story of Martell Holt. People who follow him closely say that Martell's biggest struggle is not with women or money, it's with himself. He hasn't yet figured out how to accept his flaws and grow from them. Instead, he keeps finding new ways to make his mistakes sound like something that happened to him instead of something he did. That's why every time he tries to make a point, it turns into another viral moment. Even though the whole voodoo spaghetti comment sounds funny, it's also sad when you think about it. It shows how lost Martell might still be, how much he's still trying to understand why things didn't go the way he wanted. Instead of just saying, I messed up, he's saying, something happened to me. And that tells you that he's still in denial. Until Martell learns how to truly take accountability and find peace within himself, he'll keep repeating the same patterns. Maybe one day he'll stop blaming spells, food, and other people, and finally say, it was me. Because at the end of the day, no matter what he believes about hoodoo or voodoo, the power to change his life is in his own hands. And that's the part of the story that people are hoping he'll finally understand.